back at Yarn Barn, and I'm going to show you the sewn bind off. The sewn bind off is a favorite of Elizabeth Zimmerman, so if you are a fan of the great EZ, this is the bind off she swears by. And what we're going to start with is we need to make a tail of yarn to sew the bind off with, and so it needs to be 3 times the width of the project. This is just a swatch, so it's very easy to manually do it by 3. If you're doing like a sweater edge and you know your basic circumference, you need 3 times the circumference of that. Now, this is going to be used to bind off, and we're going to use a blunt tapestry needle, a yarn needle of some kind, and it's going to sew the thread through the loops to make the bind off. And the bind off is actually going to end up looking kind of like a row of purl bumps. So you start by going purlwise under the first 2, and then you're going to go knitwise into the first loop and pull it off. And if you've done the Kitchener stitch, it's going to feel familiar. And then after you did that, you're going to go to the next 2, purlwise, and then just the first stitch left on here, go in knitwise and pull it off. And you just keep repeating that. So you go purlwise under the first 2 stitches on your needle. Whoops, and see my yarn got caught. You just make sure it's coming in the same part of, if it wraps around here, it's gonna be too long. And then I'll go knitwise into that first stitch on the needle and pull it off. And we're gonna go all the way to the edge doing this. Go in purlwise under the first 2, and then knitwise through the first. Again, purlwise under the first 2. Sorry, I'm switching hands. But you don't have to switch hands. This is just me. And then knitwise, put the next one off, and then purlwise under the next 2. Just trying to keep a good camera angle, and I don't think I am. But you don't have to show all of them. And knitwise through the first and pull it off. And you can see now that I've got some of these going off, this looks kind of like a row of purl bumps, the sewn bind off. So if I would have done this on the back side, it would just blend in. Or if you're doing like a rolled cuff, either way, it's going to be a stretchy bind off, and it's good for like the edges of gloves and socks and hats and things where you want a stretchy bind off. Well, I guess in hats you'd be doing a top down, but something where you want a stretchy bind off, but you want it to look a certain way. But it's also not very difficult. The drawbacks of this one is if you have a yarn that is more fuzzy and catches on itself, this is going to be really difficult because every time you go through, you're going to run into the fuzzy bits. So like mohairs, unspun yarns like Manjalopi, those sort of things are going to be more difficult versus something that's just a basic, typical knitting or crochet yarn. That has, it doesn't even have to be necessarily a smooth ply as long as it's not catching on itself or falling apart. And then let me get up to these last 2 because finishing is just as easy as every stitch we've been doing this whole way. All right, so I take this one off and I have the last 2 stitches, and just like before, we're gonna go under 2, go through 1, and now that we have 1 stitch left, we're gonna do the tapestry needle through this purlwise just like we did before, but just with this stitch. And then we can weave this tail in. So I would just go into my fabric and find a row and follow it along. And this is harder yarn to see than I expected. Okay, so I'm gonna attempt to follow a row of stitches from the purl side. Okay, so then if you look at the finish, you can see this bind off, and it does want to curl because I don't have any ribbing. This is just stockinette. But if you were going for a rolled hem on something, There's the flat finish, and then it would naturally want to roll up unless you block it differently. So that's the sewn bind off, and that's a good stretchy bind off that you can use if you want to have a nice ridge on the edge.